Hello everyone, welcome to my channel in this Encounters with Beautiful and Inspiring Minds. Please think of liking and subscribing so that you too can become part of this process of spreading powerful ideas, mostly during times like this, as we're recording this in February 2021. And I think we can all use all the help that we can get. Also, if you are interested in spreading your message out there and become part of the solution, please write me and let's talk. And let's create this network of meaningful conversations, of resourceful conversations. And today my guest is Ibolya, but I'm going to call her Ibi. Ibi, welcome to my show. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, I'm really grateful that you accepted my invitation. And just to tell you a few words about Ibi, she's doing life coaching. She's a spiritual guide and a mentor, and she's a certified Gene Keys ambassador. And it is precisely about the Gene Keys discipline that she will help us learn more today. And she mentioned to me earlier that she found the Gene Key, or they found her actually in 2015. And since 2018, she works as a certified Gene Key ambassador. So, Ibi, when I first got introduced to this technique, how should we call it? Technique? Discipline? What is it?
Yes, it's teaching, let's say, a knowledge.
A knowledge. So, when I first got introduced to it, I found it rather complex. So, can you please simplify it for our viewers and for me? What is this Gene Keys? And how did it start?
Mm. Yes, it's you reminded me about my first encounter with the Jinkies. There is a big book, a huge book, and it's containing rather complex language in a mystical and poetic fashion, let's say. But to simplify, Gene Keys are a synthesis of many ancient and modern teachings. And it's like having all in one place. And it's not pill, it's not a quick fix, but it's a private inner journey.
A private inner journey. I
Self-illumination.
like that. So you say
Yes.
it's a mix of disciplines and a mix of knowledge. What would that be? A mix of what precisely?
Yes, it's based on the ancient I Ching, so the Chinese old text, which contains the hexagrams, and it's called the Book of Changes. And that was the first thing Richard Rudd, who is the founder of the Jinkies, had in study. So it is a book containing the code of life based on the 64 hexagrams, which describe the 64 archetypes which governs the code of life. But that's very general. And then the second big teaching, which is the foundation, and it was the foundation for the breakthrough of the Jinkies, is human design. Human design took this I Ching code of life and identified that based on the birth date and hour, you have certain planets arranged in certain areas, and you have a personalized code of your life. So it's like a snapshot of the universe, which stopped when you were born, and that gives
Personalized code.
information.
Personalized code of your own life. It's a sort of an astrology or not really? Or it has nothing to do with
It's
that?
Yes, it has to do also with astrology, because it's showing the position of certain planets in
Mhm.
your
Sure.
holographic chart. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And what are the means to calculate this? Like, do you have the same system of calculations as in astrology, or it's a different, totally different system? Just for us to understand a little bit.
It's a certain sequence which came through transmission. So it was like when it was deepened, this study and this contemplation of the human design and I Ching, suddenly Richard saw certain sequences in sacred geometries which had a certain meaning and they govern areas of our lives.
I see. So maybe you can translate that a little bit for us. So
Yeah.
tell us then how Mr. Rudd came into this knowledge. It was a revelation. It was through meditation processes. He studied previously astrology and I Ching, and then he came up with this new knowledge or method, or it was a process. How did it happen for him then?
It's a combination because he's actually a mystic and a poet, let's say, and he studied arts and philosophy, and he went into India and all the Eastern teachings and spent years of personal journey. And after these teachings, it came the revelation. So exactly when the harmonic convergence was in 1987, so when the first time humanity awakens to a new level of consciousness, he had these 3 days of the whole body filled with light. And it was like knowing, having the extended consciousness for this long time. He didn't eat, he didn't drink, he didn't sleep. And it was like knowing, having access to that omniscient mind of the God, like knowing and seeing everything how it is at once.
Wow.
But then this heightened state of consciousness ended, and it was a process of 7 years of decoding all the information, and that's how Jinkies were born.
Wow, I have goosebumps all over the body.
Yeah.
So this is direct knowing.
Direct knowing.
Accessing the truth and accessing the right information. All right. So going more into the details, we have this, you mentioned the 64 archetypes and the 64 numbers and how would you call them? Keys, right? In
Keys,
this,
yes.
yeah. Okay, why are they called keys? They unlock something?
Yes, exactly. They unlock, and this key is really more than a symbol. They are genetical keys. So they are based on how our genes work and how they are recoded. They are reprogrammed. So first, science told us that we are limited by our genetic. And then now we know that our genes are not dictating our destiny, but we can reprogram.
Wow.
And we can reprogram through our attitude, because genetic, yes, contains like certain archetypes. But what really came through the revelation to Richard was that these archetypes function at different state and frequencies of consciousness. And based on what frequency you choose, you have a different reality.
I see. So basically, correct me if I didn't get it right. So I have a certain genetic code that I come with through this body and this incarnation and this life. And by changing the frequency, I can change this code. Is that correct? And can I change it
Exactly.
into anything else, or only to the superior aspect of this particular code that I have now?
That's a very good question. It's an excellent question because
Yeah, I'm really listening.
yes, yes, but it's more than that. It's like a knowing, and that's also very interesting. There are certain fractals of people who just get it, you know. And the question is good because we have these archetypes through our birth chart. And we can move from the shadow frequency to the gift frequency and next to the highest potential of that archetypes. But we can transcend our profile.
Oh,
So we can go beyond and really get unlimited, and we are not limited but by our charts at all. But it's a sequence. We cannot skip the steps.
okay. And what are the steps? Let's go into the steps. Like, for instance, if I am to follow this knowledge right now, I want to start studying it. What would I start with? Apart from meeting you, of course, and having a session with you. But else than
Yeah.
that, what would be the first thing you would tell me, and what's the first thing I need to know?
So what offers Jinky is, let's say, a journey. So you embark into your personal journey to discover and to reveal your true essence. And you start by doing your chart, your hologenetic chart, which is free on the Jinky's website.
Okay, please,
And
please give us the website. So you just
jinkies.com.
said that we can go, anybody can go right now on that official website of the Gene Keys and do their own profile for free.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yes.
fantastic. All right, I'm going to add the link right there. Cool.
Yes. Thank you. So after you get your hologenetic profile, you will
Mhm.
see there um, a structure, a journey made of 11 spheres.
Of 11 what?
Spheres.
Stairs.
Spheres.
Okay, okay.
These spheres are positions which govern certain areas of your life, and they correspond to certain planets. For example, um, this journey is called the golden path.
Mm,
So your golden path,
yeah.
it's just voyaging through your own life and unlocking in sequences certain codes of your DNA.
Do you think that that these codes can unlock just by having this conversation right now? Because I feel kind of goosebumps and electricity going through my body as we speak.
Yes, and you already are touching one specific part of the gene keys, which is called the transmission. That is what Richard says, that every teaching and every knowledge has a certain texture and a certain flavor. And for the gene keys, there is a language. Each word in the Jinkies book has a certain frequency, and
Mm.
no word is randomly put there. And because they have this certain frequency, they are talking to your DNA. And that's why you feel that it's already something happening. Yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah, it's interesting because you see with what's happening lately, and I think I don't know if it's with you that I've had this conversation lately, maybe because I'm talking to lots of people, that what I feel today, the one of the source of our suffering today is because I find our words are lacking meaning and there's no substance and there's no content behind every word we're using, because we use them in a wrong way. And I'm always giving the example of the Sanskrit language, which is a mantric language, and every word corresponds to a frequency. So I totally get it. And it's interesting to know that that can be done also in English, because to me that was also only like an aspect of the ancient languages, such as Sanskrit. But it's interesting to know that. And do you know how he did that? How can you charge, or did he get these words through revelation as well? You don't know?
He was chosen somehow, or I don't know, probably his life journeys, because it's not just about this life. He is a poet, so he's using this metaphorical language, or the charge is also in the spaces between the words. And he always says that this book was written by itself, so it was through transmission.
Yeah, I will give you a quote from Mr. Rudd that I found on a website. It was not that hard to find. He put it there on the first page, which says like this: the truth lies beyond words. The many rivers of words you'll discover here within the Gene Keys, teachings, and books all flow to the edge of the wordless. I love that. He is indeed a poet. And this is their sole purpose, to take you to the very banks of the eternal.
Yes. And that's the point when we transcend our profile, because the essence, our essence, is something which cannot be described in words. And at a certain moment, you follow the teaching, you unlock, and you get to know yourself, and you feel your essence. And when you touch the essence, your essence, you are never the same, because something starts to emanate and radiate from you. And that's when you know you are here to bring a certain quality to this world.
And this quality can be revealed actually through this knowledge, through this discipline. I see. Exactly. But how come, well, you know, there's plenty of reasons for that. But for somebody who would go now on the website and discover this and see all these numbers and all these words, and we talk about the essence, and then things are very simple. And then you get into this system, which is so complex to me, to memorize each key and to understand which key does what, and to, how did you get to learn these keys? Do you, by practicing them, by reading, or you just direct knowing for you as well? Personally, you personally.
You start with the technique here. So the tools are your profile, your hologenetic profile, which is made by 3 sequences. And the Gene Key book, which describes the 64 archetypes with these 3 levels of frequencies each, is the map. It's a map of consciousness. It's the spectrum of consciousness. Then the hologenetic profile, it's your compass. Like you are here. you were born in this day, you are here. And it reveals certain patterns which can appear in your life and which you can recognize. And then the third one is the journey. So the golden path, you start sequence by sequence, step by step, to go through this journey, and you unlock step by step the codes in your DNA. But what you use is the technique. So the technique Gene Key is using is called contemplation.
Contemplation.
And it's the art of contemplation. The contemplation is somewhere between meditation and concentration. And what is really beautiful is that it doesn't require for you to change your life.
I see.
You are doing contemplation while you are living your daily life.
Activities. But before getting to the complete contemplation, because I would like you to maybe actually help us and do a little example with us, or a little exercise with us towards the end of the first meeting, because I want to tell our viewers that we're going to meet again to do more practical stuff and go more into depth with this. But before that, let's revise and make sure. So I'm going to the website, I'm going to do my free profile. And then what will I get from that? I will get the general guidelines, right? What is,
Yes,
the shadow,
you are given a summary
a
in the
summary.
profile, and that's like a key sentence for each sequence. There are 3 sequences. The first one is called the activation sequence and is made by 4 sphere, and that unlocks your genius. So what you are here to do, what's your higher purpose. Then the second sequence is a map of your relationships and is going into the emotional plane, which is a subtle plane.
Mhm.
And then the third sequence is called the pearl sequence, and it's about unlocking your prosperity. But it's not just about wealth, it's unlocking the flow in your life. So these are the 3 sequences, and they are natural, and they have this order because they get from exterior, so from the physical reality to the emotional reality, and it becomes an inner journey. And then the pearl sequence is unlocking your multi-dimensional being, because when you get there, there is a portal to the higher planes already.
Okay, so there we have these 3 sequences. And
Yes.
then with this information, is there anything that somebody who goes there today will be able to do? Or is it just by the lecture of that, they will have insights and there's the keys included or contained in the information itself? Please forgive me. I'm like it's a gene
No,
keys for
it's very
dummies.
good. It's very, very good, because otherwise you can get lost in this false complexity, because it's not about knowing the whole book.
Okay.
Nobody knows the whole book because it's a living language. Every time you are reading a jinky, it will be revealed another layer, another layer.
I understand.
So you are always like first time. Everybody is a perpetual beginner in this in yes in this approach. So what is really important is that you understand what is about, what it's helping you. The jinkies is helping you to be able to take control on your life through choosing the frequency of your consciousness. So how you are moving from the shadow archetypes or manifestation of that archetype in your life to the gift.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you are mastering the gift, the siddhi, which is the highest potential of that archetype, is given to you.
I see. So can you please mention them again, the 3 aspects of each archetype, so that we know what we're talking about here. So each
Maybe I
code.
can give an example
Yes,
with a
please.
jinki.
Yes. Please.
So, for example, we have the 6th jinki, which is having the shadow of conflict, the gift of diplomacy, and the siddhi is peace.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see at the shadow frequency, so that at the low frequency, all kind of conflicts appear in your life, and like you have enemies, and people are just opposing you, and they are challenging you, and all kinds of
Lawsuits.
conflict. Yes, 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 exactly, exactly. And then when you enter and react, or you repress, because the shadow frequency has these two um, parts. Some of us are reactive. They are all about reaction, and they start fighting, and they or you just become silent and you just run away and
Repress it.
repress.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So this is the automatic part, what we are conditioned, what we inherit in our genes through the lineages of our, I don't know, ancestors, and all this generation of people who were fighting, and they were in wars, and fight and conflict is part of our genes. So when we pause and we start contemplating, we start to see patterns. Oh, but this type of conflict is, I already lived many times with many people. Maybe is something I can change. And then you just change something in your attitude, and you open your mind and see the bigger picture. And this is how you move to the gift frequency. And in the gift frequency, you have control on your attitude. You choose what you want to do, but by knowing that the Jinky is offering you um, this big picture, because you know when the conflict appears, that's the shadow of this Jinky, and you can move to the gift of diplomacy. And nobody can steal your peace, because your peace is inside you. And that's you will see all over again this phrase, every shadow contains a gift,
Mm-hmm.
because the highest potential is hidden like a seed, like a CD,
Like a
like a
city.
seed in the shadow. And the shadow is just condensed matter, like dense frequency. And when you unlock, you are going in the higher state of consciousness.
So basically, that every shadow contains a gift is not a metaphor. It's literal
It's literal in our DNA.
in
Yes.
our DNA. Wow,
And that's the key.
that's the key.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so this, by going to the website and having my profile and having some insights on the three aspects of my life's purpose, the relationships, and then what was it again, the prosperity, I could get the hints with the key numbers that I get and what is the shadow, what is the gift, and also what is the CD. And just for our viewers, CD means what? Like power. The CD is like from
CD
Sanskrit,
means your divine essence, the
your divine
highest
essence. Mhm.
frequency of your potential in that key.
Mm. Okay, and can we have more than one key or more than one numbers for each of these three aspects of our lives, or is just one, or there's many? Because this, I think this what scared me. There were too many. There were many circles and many numbers, and I said, "Oh no, it's too complicated, too mathematical. Me, I want something like spiritual." And it's so beautiful to discover this simplicity behind this, and actually geometry, mathematics is divine, is the divine knowledge. Everything is perfectly designed. There's no, as Einstein was saying, God didn't play dice with the universe.
Yes, you're right. Yes, that's why, and you touched here a very important part,
Mm,
because it's called hologenetic profile. What does it mean,
yes,
hologenetic?
please
It means
translate.
that this universe is holographic. Everything which is in the cosmos, you have it inside every cell. So it's a microcosmos and the macrocosmos, and everything corresponds to everything. And that's why the simplicity. The simplicity is, if you contemplate only one jinki in your whole profile, and you get to know that jinki very well, like you feel it, that is the key which sets the frequency of your whole profile. The frequency is spreading holographically into your profile because you are acting on your consciousness. You are raising your consciousness. And that's not like I move only in one part, that's moving up.
At all levels. At all
Yes, at
levels.
all levels and in all areas of your life.
All right. Well, since we got here, let's go back to the contemplation. And if you want to give us a tool on or an example on how to do it, um, let's say the person that would have that key number 6 that you mentioned with the conflict and the peace and what was the negotiation, right? And the peace.
Diplomacy, yes.
Diplomacy. Well, okay. I had translated in my own words. Diplomacy sounds better indeed. What would I do? Let's say I discovered I have that key. How would I start contemplating that? Of course, reading the text, right? You have to read the description of the key number 6, right? What
Yes,
else?
that helps because it helps you becoming aware how did this general universal archetype is playing, how it can manifest. And while you are reading, you are recognizing things from your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's me. Yes, that's exactly that reaction. I know it. And when you realize that, you are already starting to see patterns in your life, patterns of reaction. It's like, I always react that
That
way,
way.
or
Yes.
somebody is behaving always in that way, and that's already a pattern. But the simplest way you start doing is just pausing before you react. So by seeing this pattern, when next time when it happens and you feel the reaction inside you, you feel your blood just going hot.
Boiling.
And you stop the reaction and you just breathe. That's the simplest pause. The simplest part of the pause is just breathe a few times. And this gap is really making a hole in the fabric of the reaction. It's like you have a hole and that's already stopped. And when you do that a few times, then in that pause, you make space for something higher to come. And it's coming an insight, like, wait, if I do different, if I respond differently, I get a different result. So if I approach differently that person respond differently, and I have a different reality. I move out from the entanglement, because at the shadow level, we entangle with each other. Oh, you said something, a word. Oh, that word.
Yeah.
Why? What do you mean? Why? I'm not like that. No, that's not true. And we get entangled. But when we raise the frequency, we can see that other person is reacting from its own wound. And it's nothing personal.
Oh yeah. That's
And
my
that's the diplomacy.
that's the
I
diplomacy.
move
Mm-hmm.
till the middle point, and you come to the middle point, and we create something together from our
Rather
gifts.
than reacting and responding. But that requires a little bit this pause, and this recognition of the pattern requires a little bit of self-awareness and knowing yourself a little bit. I mean, you need to know yourself and to be able to recognize when these patterns manifest, because sometimes most of us we just go with the flow, right? So very few people really stop and observe and notice. So for someone who's just starting and they will try to do this pause and nothing happens. What would you tell them so that you encourage them to continue? Because there's probably nothing happening in the first 30,000 times that we stop. This is just an example. Okay, I don't want anybody to get discouraged here. But maybe you don't get anything the first 3 times that you pause. Maybe you can't pause enough. Maybe you just take 1 breath instead of 3. What do they need to know so that they continue and that they persist with the practice?
First of all, it's like decision. It's like a decision to embark on this voyage or journey, and that you want to change your life. That's the first part. And then the pausing part is working every time if you give enough time. But that means, and Richard really recommends, you don't put a goal on your pauses. No, you just enjoy your pauses and start with the natural pause of your day. Don't force, now I have to pause, now I need to do something. It's in steps which are very organic to our biorhythm. And life gives us many pauses if we start to recognize them. And even the forced pause, like at a traffic light or something happened and you need to wait in the car, that's an opportunity for you to start contemplating and to notice other things which are around. And this is enough. And when you don't put pressure, I need to have a breakthrough in the first 3 pauses, they will come to you because it's a magnetic approach. You are inviting and you are not going, you have to come to me. No, it's like inviting. It's more like a feminine approach.
Magnetic attraction of some sort. And we were talking about this when we met first time, the way to contemplate, the way to pause, because for people that are not used to taking those pauses, how do you pause? How do you listen? Because it's not easy, it's not obvious. I have people coming here for retreats because, I'm practicing Ayurveda and people come here to spend a few days, and we only do that many treatments per day. The rest of the time they're by themselves and they have hard time sitting, standing, laying down, doing nothing. It's an art to do nothing. What's the art of pausing? How do we pause? Teach us, master.
It's true. And it's a paradox because you see pause, it's corresponding to the mental plane. And it's the first step in the art of contemplation. By the way, the art of contemplation is a very small book. I really recommend. You don't need jinkies, you need only the art of contemplation, and it can change your life.
Is it the author? Is Mr. Rudd?
Yes.
The art of contemplation. Okay.
The art of contemplation, and he released also an online course, which is very sweet. But how do we pause? It's like giving our mind some moments to relax.
Can we pause now? Let's pause now together with our viewers.
Yes. Let's take a few breaths and really just follow those breaths and put the attention. What is awareness? We need to bring awareness, more awareness in our moment. So I can just put my attention on you and you put on me, and just notice how beautiful is your dress, how bright is your face. And it's just observing how seeing all this makes me feel. I feel relaxed. I feel in an intimate environment. And just noticing all these small, apparently, details are helping me to paint this moment in a bright and more colorful way. So I bring awareness to this moment, and that's all we need. It's like deepening and allowing ourselves to relax in that moment. And that's also something, because when I first learned the art of contemplation, to contemplate, I was in a business environment, in a corporate world, and I was putting every 3 hours the alarm to announce me to take 1 minute of pause. And sometimes I was in a business meeting, so what to do? Um, and when you cannot extract yourself from the daily, let's say, activity, what you can do is bringing this awareness. So when this time
Dive
came,
into it.
okay, yes, I was just noticing my business partner, the person, the human being. He was tired, or he was just anxious, or he was hungry, or I can ask maybe some personal questions about how he's feeling, or and bring this depth into that moment. And that's enough to make a space and invite the higher frequency.
Wow, that's wonderful. I love that. The
And
most
it's simple.
beautiful truths are in the simplest things, isn't it? Always.
Yes.
Wow. And then you just go into a pause by itself, just the pause is invited by
Exactly.
itself.
Yes, that's the beauty, because after a short time, it's not a long time, you do that naturally, and you never have to think, to contemplate, because it's just going naturally. Your whole life is a contemplation. And what does it mean to contemplate? It was not clear for me from the beginning, but what I found the easiest way to define is to hold something in your mind. So when you contemplate a jinki, you take a word from there. Maybe while you are reading, a short phrase is catching your attention, and you take only that one, and you keep it in your mind, but not like um, actively, but you in the background, and that's already working, and it's bringing you the insights.
That's wonderful. Excellent. So this is what they can do as they go on the website and they make their profile. They can start reading about the keys that they show up in their, how did you call that? The
Hologenetic profile.
hologenetic profile. And then they can start contemplating on these particular aspects. That's fantastic. And are there any other steps for the contemplation, or basically this is it? This is just, I want to include a teaser here in case there's something more to discuss next time we meet. Maybe people want to find out more. Are there any other levels of contemplation, or this is it, the pause?
No, the pause is the first technique, and it's starting at the mental level, because we need to see and to understand with our mind. So we start to see things, to notice, to observe, and then the second part of the contemplation is pivoting. Pivoting is when you see patterns and you choose to
Okay,
switch.
don't give too many details. We're going to talk more about it next time.
And the third part
Yes, okay.
is the breakthrough.
Oh, wow. So please join us next time as well, because you're going to have a breakthrough, because
It's
we
very
all want
powerful.
that. Oh, that's wonderful. There's a word that vibrated with me when you said it. And I'm going to contemplate on that one from now on until we meet next time, is decision. I like that a lot, because I asked you, how do we do it if it doesn't work? Is that decision? is that particular moment when you decide something. And that probably I'm in a moment of decision now. So that's why I guess it resonated with me and I love it. It's so simple, yet we don't understand it. And sometimes we're wondering, how come I didn't take this decision before? Because when we take decisions all the time unconsciously anyway, and we have taken and we took decisions in the past, specific moments, traumatic or less traumatic moments in our lives. And these decisions are still governing our lives. And sometimes it's as simple as changing your mind about that decision, just deciding otherwise, decide that and stick to it. So I found that amazing. Thank you for this insight. And how, I don't know how much more time we have, but we can go up to an hour and 15. So anything we wanted to discuss about, yeah, so apart from having my own profile done, can we apply these keys to, for instance, any specific dates or specific years? Or can I look into what is the message of today's date, for instance, 02/02/2021? And also I would have liked to, if we had time, to discuss about this year, if there is a specific key that can be included, and the shadow that we're going through today, what is the gift inside this shadow of this pandemic 2021, let's say, and what would be the city that we can extract from it? Because we need to change frequency. From what you're saying, I don't have to be a victim of everything that's happening around us today. I can choose to change frequency. Can you give us a hint into what is the gift of this particular year?
Yes, so about this year is very closely linked to the last year, and we have a trinity of three jinkies which are moving through the hologenetic profile of these years. It's called the ring of Gaia because the jinkies are organized in rings, hologenetic rings, which form the amino acids in our DNA.
Okay.
And they are connected in this way. And it's not random that this ring of Gaia is called the Jinki 60, 61, and 19. They are moving through different planets and different parts of the hologenetic profile these 2 years and from now on. So the last year started with 61. It's called psychosis. And we know all that we went through, a collective psychosis.
It's still going on?
Still going on, yes, still going on. But we are moving now into this Jinki 60, which is called justice. So the highest frequency is called justice, and the lowest frequency is called limitation. And we are breaking free from the limitation and from our all restrictions and lockdowns and everything. And you can already see the protests, and the people are really wanting to change this state of limitation. And the third one is called sacrifice, but it's not a negative connotation. Is a jinki which is very related to awakening new senses in our body and in a subtle bodies. So in the astral body and mental body, around our, so not only the 5 senses, but also those senses who can feel the invisible worlds and the invisible planes. And by awakening these senses, we just know things.
That
We
explains a
start to
lot.
know, and we start to empower ourselves. And when the human being is empowered, he cannot be controlled anymore. And the 60th Jinki, so the one before, is the one who is destroying old structures in order for the new ones to be able to come and to be put in place in a sustainable way.
Yes, yes.
And that's
So,
the ring of Gaia. And the whole ring of Gaia has this mission to bring back Gaia, which is the spirit of the earth, and all the resources to all the children of the earth. So the whole human being, not the wealth to be concentrated in the hands of a few, I don't know, families, but the whole resources are for all the children of the earth. And that's at play.
that's happening now. So
Yes.
just to recap, we have three keys, 61, 60, and 19. 60
Yes.
was the psychosis as the shadow. What was the gift?
It's inspiration.
Inspiration. And the CD?
Is sanctity.
Wow.
And it's related to the we are supported by the angelic realm and all these higher beings, and through the 19 gene key our senses will be able to communicate like more directly with all these realms which were invisible till now to us. And we can see that we are not alone on this planet. We are connected to the whole cosmos and all these not ET, but all these
That was my question. You read mind.
galaxies and all these cosmic beings are aspects of us from a higher consciousness, a higher level of consciousness. And they exist in us, but they need to be awakened. That's all.
I see. So if I am to look into this period of time from this psychosis, we can move into the inspiration through this process of contemplation. So what would be a quick, because we didn't read any of this for now, for somebody who's listening now and sees this psychotic energy going and feeling it around, because we all feel it and we all can see it. I mean, we don't need to study the gene keys for that. But what would I do to access the gift through the contemplation? So I pause and I do what to access the inspiration, this gift?
Yes, let's take the 60th gene
Yes,
key.
please.
What does it mean, psychosis?
Mm.
Psychosis, we know like a mental illness
Yeah.
because we love labels, but psychosis is really the reality is splitting into two, and you don't know which one is real. And you can create a reality of your own, but that's not real, and it doesn't have to do anything with what the others experience. And the inspiration is when, so this split is in the shadow frequency. Inspiration is like you let yourself moved by what inspires you, and that is your guide, that is your inner guidance. And when you go with your inner inspiration, you get to know who you are. So you unlock your own qualities. And by aligning yourself with your qualities and by expressing your natural qualities, you become an inspiration to others.
I see. So you're moving from that split between
Yes.
my reality, what I want, and what's going on out there that creates this psychosis. I move into I'm aware of who I am. I know what I want, and I follow this inspiration, and then there's no more conflict. The world can be as it is, but I know who I am, and I know what I'm inspired by, and I follow that.
Yes. And I will live in that reality. because you see the word is split, and if you are listening to the mainstream media, you will hear only the bad news and
Sure.
danger and one focus theme and all this stuff. And then if you are hearing that language, that is speaking to your DNA from the low frequency, and the response is activating the shadow in your DNA. But when you listen to, okay, I close everything and I listen, what is inspiring me? What is moving me from inside? And do that. Just listen the inner voice. And because I know that psychosis is the shadow frequency, so I choose not to stay there, and I can move. I have the power, and that's, I believe, a very good news, because we are not the victim anymore, and we will see this more and more.
Oh, I love that. So I just followed my inspiration to do this call with you then.
That's true. You may have those jinkies somewhere.
Yes. Let's do quickly the same thing with the key number 60 with the justice. So justice is the gift, or what did you say? It was limitation. Was
Justice
the
is
shadow?
the CD. Justice is the CD, and the shadow is limitation.
Limitation.
So at the shadow frequency, you see and feel only the limitation. I cannot travel. I cannot go there. I am limited. I'm locked. I cannot see my friends. I cannot hug everyone. So all the limitations. But when you balance, because the gift level is realism.
Realism.
Realism realism is
Mm.
what it really means. It's balance. Take both sides. It's like the Libra symbol,
Yes.
like you have both sides. Okay, this is what is limiting me, but what's the good thing in it? And you see both parts. That's the realism. It's a balance. It's a balance.
Yeah.
And when you see both parts and you see that it brought you something good as well. You had more time to focus on yourself. You didn't spend, I don't know how many hours in uh,
Traffic. Yeah.
traffic and so on. So you have the good parts as well. Then you have the balance. Um, the highest level, the highest frequency here is justice. Justice means divine justice.
I love that.
And divine justice means if somebody hurts you or is making something wrong it to you, it's not about I get the revenge. I do my thing with integrity, and the justice will be made from another plane. And that trust is really calibrating yourself and bringing self-assurance and power, strength, because I'm not depending on something somebody did to me to make me a victim. I trust that person has to deal with the divine justice, which is above our heads, and it never forgets anything. So
I
there
know
is
that for sure. Yes.
an accountant somewhere there, no, noting everything.
Wow, I love this one. Well, it seems so simple, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
especially in this context, I'm really, really happy we're discussing about this because this will give people some tools. And are these keys described anywhere on the website or not necessarily?
Yes.
It's three particular ones.
These three particular, I don't know, but one of them, the 19 Jinki, which describes this awakening of the new senses, uh, it has a series of three short audios, a few minutes
On the
each.
website.
It's on YouTube.
Okay.
on YouTube on the Jinkies channel, and you will find this Jinky 19. If you search, you will find 3, and it explains through a very, very nice sequence how it's linked, and also it gives reference to this ring of Gaia
I
inside.
will try to find it and I'll put it as a link here in my video. And so let's quickly revise 19 then. So you said that the shadow is sacrifice? No.
No, the shadow is codependency.
Codependency. Okay.
The gift is sensitivity, and the CD is sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And codependence is something we lived many years in codependence, like in relationships or in codependence with a job we didn't like, or toxic relationships, or situations which didn't really valued us, or because it's this old belief, or yes, it's a conditioned belief that we are not able to survive alone, and we need somebody or something to cling to, and to give us safety.
Mm-hmm.
That's the shadow. And suddenly the whole world just were disconnected from this what we are depending on, and just moved into new paradigm with new rules, with everything changed. And we need to say, okay, uh, I will find inside myself resources, and I am able to survive, and I don't need that, I don't know, that crappy job or that relationship, because that's not me. And um, sensitivity is related to these new senses. Those who have this jinky in their profile, they are highly sensitive people, and the shadow frequency is oversensitivity. So they get hurt, and they interpret that the whole world wants to do them something, to hurt
Hurt
them.
them. Yeah.
Yes, and they just defend or close, and they get and attached to something that gives them a false safety, security. And the highest level, the sacrifice, is just seeing that everything on earth is meant to feed. So we are in a chain. What I am doing is feeding somebody else, and what others are doing is feeding myself. So we move from a codependent relationship to an independent, where I can see I can be survive by myself. But that's not the end. The highest level is interdependency. So you are coming with your quality, I am coming with my gifts, and we exchange,
Yeah. I
and
feed
we
from you
feed
and
each
somebody
other.
feeds from me. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm part in a
Yeah.
chain. I'm a part of a
That,
chain.
that's the highest frequency of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that. So this year, if you want to have something very practical and concrete, we should move from this psychosis into this inspiration and following our own values and what inspires us, and move from the limitation into the what was it, the balance, and then
Balance.
just
Yes.
to the justice,
To
the
see what brought us good, and what is the best part of this
yeah, seeing both sides,
limitation.
being realistic, not
Exactly.
taking sides. That's wonderful. And then in the 19th, moving from what was again the shadow,
Codependence.
the codependency, codependence into this beautiful interdependency.
Yes.
Wow. So if for those of you listening now and watching this, there's always something that we can do for sure. getting and vibrating with the shadow that is being transmitted and broadcasted all the time through all the media and including social media. I mean, I think it's a good idea to take a break from that. And that's what I advise all my clients as well, because the more you listen to that, the more all these shadows are being activated. Now I have these words that I can use. Then we can move into the gift that we are, into the gift that this world is, and make that choice. And it's not only a matter of, I mean, I'm not sure to what extent we're here to change the world, but as you said, as Evie said, we are here for ourselves. So we are here to choose. We are here to make this choice and expand the awareness and move from these mechanical responses into this conscious choices. And I love that. This is very empowering. And it's fantastic, Ibi. I wish I could talk for another hour, but I think we're going to have to wrap it up soon because we're over the look. It's already like an hour and what? Almost an hour and a half. And this is good. For those of you watching, we're going to meet again with Ibi because she's going to do some more demonstrations and we're going to go a little bit deeper into this beautiful science. I would call it science. Do you mind?
It is a science, yes.
The science of they all come together. All these beautiful spiritual sciences that come from the truth and from the consciousness, they all merge into the same ultimate truth and reality. And I think it's all a matter of knowing who we are. It starts there. Know who you are, know who you embody physically. Me, I'm looking into the physical patterns through Ayurveda and the mental patterns, and you are exploring them through this profiles and these codes and keys. And it's beautiful to have a good idea who you are, and then take it from there. Not fight against it. Don't judge yourself. Everybody has something to deal with. If we're here, it's because we still have things to learn and to understand and to transcend. So we're all in the same boat. There's always something that you can do, and that thing that you can do is to change frequency. And the tool that Ibi is giving us here is that pause, that contemplation. Just start seeing things. Choose to see, and this is a tool that I always give to my clients in my NLP sessions, is ask yourself what is real and true now. Because we often go into this, thinking and this imagining things, but right now as we speak, what's happening? And right now, what's happening, that I'm having this wonderful conversation with Evie, and I'm so happy about it. I had so many other questions, but I don't think I'm going to get into those. I'm going to ask you about yourself. How did you come into that? We're going to probably do a sort of a profile. I don't know if it's going to be me or somebody else's, and maybe we can work also, or you can show us how we can work on a specific pattern and how, although I kind of got the idea on how it works. But would you have a last thought for my viewers here? Like in regards to this year, what's happening, all that, give them something that if they hear it, apart from everything that you said, it was wonderful, they could encourage them to go on. And
I would say something about today, because it's like a portal. Today in the Irish culture is called Festival of Imbolc, and it's the moment the nature comes back to life. And it's a very potent moment to seed our intentions for this year. And that is also related to these natural cycles, not the imposed cycles. And Jinky is really showing us when these cycles are starting. So today the sun is transiting, is entering the Jinky 13th. And I would say this is about listening. And my last thought is about always listen inside, that voice of intuition, which is guiding you and never, never, never lies. That's connected to the truth.
Well, thank you so much, Ibi. Thank you so much for sharing all that. It's been really a magnificent moment. moment of truth and awareness, and I loved it. It vibrated all over. And I thank you all for watching. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, if you have something to say and want to have a conversation here with me and spread your word, your message, your truth, and also clarify what's important to you, please contact me and let's talk. And I'll see you all very soon. And hang in there and go into the inspiration and go into the freedom and go into the interdependence. And I'll see you all very soon. Thank you, Ibi.
It's been a pleasure, and thank you all for being here. Thank you.